Tinubu, please borrow a leaf from the Pharaoh who ruled Egypt at the time of Joseph by Bakare. It is fitting that today's State of the Nation broadcast is being delivered to a nation in need of restoration. This Easter Sunday, yes, so we are in need of restoration. In the book of Ezekiel, the prophet was transported to a valley full of dry bones, where God asked him, "Can these bones live?" I imagine he's also asking us today, can Nigeria live? If you think of the mass grave in Bassa, Jos, into which over 50 of our citizens were lowered on Tuesday, if you think of the sense of foreboding, hunger, sorrow, shame, and of utter hopelessness, we may be moved in our broken humanity to answer, no. Yes, it is precisely in moments such as this when hope, far from being renewed, is depleted. It is in moments like this that truth becomes as precious as oxygen to our body politic. For today's State of the Nation broadcast, I'm borrowing words attributed to Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States of America. As my title, he said, "Let the people know the truth, and the country is safe. Only by confronting our reality with honesty and courage can we begin the work of restoration. Not just of our nation, but of our collective broken spirits. People of faith have prayed to the point of weariness, and any call for prayer now appears to be a mere religious ritual. Yes, prayer, yes, we have prayed, but actions needs to be taken in this country. You cannot just keep praying. Even the Bible said a prayer without work is in vain. You are praying, you are not working. You don't have a job. What is God supposed to bless? If you are saying, "God, please bless me, bless me, bless me," what is God supposed to bless? He's supposed to bless something that you are doing. So we really need to take actions. Some have concluded that we have prayed long enough and that unless certain pragmatic steps are taken with immediate effect, the rage of the poor may engineer social, economic, and political worst-case scenarios. To avoid the full-blown breakdown of law and order in our fragile democracy and the intervention of our already battle-weary armed forces, I offer timely counsel to the Nigerian government and led prayers for the administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu on Sunday, January 12, 2025. My admonition, titled "A Word in Season for the Nigerian Government, a Timely Counsel in Our Season of Great Challenge and Great Need," was based on the encounter between Joseph and Pharaoh, king of Egypt. As recorded in Genesis 41, I said to Mr. President, "Dear President Tinubu, please borrow a leaf from the Pharaoh who ruled Egypt at the time of Joseph." This particular Pharaoh showed remarkable wisdom and insight, as well as a heart receptive to truth. Yes, God strategically positioned this humble man as king over Egypt at a crucial time in world history. When he awoke from his dream, he recognized something odd was happening. As a strong leader, he acknowledged the sense of unease, but as a humble leader, he enlisted the advice of others. Yes, he did not keep it to himself and say, "Okay, I'm going to think of what to do." You cannot do these things alone. He had to look for people to interpret his dream for him, to say, "Okay, what is the meaning of this dream?" He summoned Joseph, who successfully interpreted his dream. Pharaoh knew his kingdom hung in the balance as he carefully processed the message God had given him through Joseph. I then went ahead to declare and pray, God is about to do something with Nigeria that will cause nations of the earth to come here and learn. May the good Lord grant President Tinubu hearing ears. Amen. Amen. And an understanding heart to do the needful for Nigerians' turnaround for the betterment of our citizens. We really pray so. We hope so. Dear Nigerians, the past few months since that admonition has shown that those responsible for steering the course of our nation lacks the humility and character this moment demands of leaders. Instead, what we have seen since the beginning of the year is a descent into tyranny and a brazen abuse of power. Those entrusted with power appear determined to destabilize what is left of our political institutions and have committed themselves to obliterating the guardrails of constitutional governance. From the theater of the absurd staged in Rivers State with puppets on strings controlled by directors in Abuja, you know that director, Abi? To the dance of shame performed by the National Assembly in their rush to suspend the Constitution and endorse, through the back door, the usurpation of powers by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, from the Senate's shameless bid to silence Senator Natasha Akpoti-Oduaghan for demanding that the President of the Nigerian Senate uphold the moral standard required of that office, to the uncouth outburst of an undistinguished senatorial misfit who tried in vain to silence the distinguished citizens attempting to testify on behalf of Senator Akpoti-Oduaghan, it is clear that our so-called leaders are determined to turn Nigeria into a mafia state. Yes, They want to turn this country into a place where they can just do anything and nobody will be able to question them. Anything they say, anything they want, it happens. Nobody can question them. Nobody can query them. The two main contenders in the ongoing institutional immorality Olympics are the executive and the legislature. Yes. It is often said that these two arms of government suffered the worst form of arrested development because they were the direct victims of the military era. But after 26 years of uninterrupted democracy, one must ask, how much longer before our institutions finally mature? While it is not in dispute that our institutions and constitutions are inadequate, very inadequate, you see that our constitution, I'll keep saying it, they need to trash it, they need to throw it away. It is very inadequate. It has become obvious that our biggest problems are the occupiers of this institution, yes, and executors of the constitution. The quality of leadership in Nigeria has become so repugnant that citizens must declare a state of emergency on governance, demanding that every aspiring public office holder undergo rigorous psychiatric evaluation before seeking election. That's very important. Dear Nigerians, the events that unfolded on the floor of the Senate Committee on Ethics, Privileges and Public Petitions on Tuesday, March 25, 2025 are an apt and timely illustration of our leadership deficit. Senate originates from the Latin word senatus, which means Council of Elders. Elders, as used in this context, does not necessarily connote chronological age, but a demonstration of such wisdom, decorum, and decency that commands respect. Senator Ekachienwaibo's descent into street-level vitriol was an affront to the essence of the Senate. Instead of engaging the visiting citizens in reasoned, factual debate, he chose to drag the hallowed chambers through the mud. I'm telling you. There is clear evidence in reports and recordings from the occasion that there were repeated attempts to intimidate and silence Dr. Ezekwesili and her team. The institutional collapse and the failure of our leadership recruitment process were summed up in Senator Nwaibo's statements to Dr. Obi Ezekwesili. People like you cannot be here. People like who exactly? You should tell us. What that means is that the Senate is not a place for the best, brightest, fittest, and most competent in our country. What that means is that our political institutions are not designed for people of character. Abi, that's what they are telling us. Competence and capacity, as Dr. Obi Ezekwesili often puts it. What that means is that our legislature is not designed for people who are sticklers for accountability and due process, but for a band of legislators. That's exactly their name. That's very, very befitting for them. That's what they are. A lot is just going on in this country, and we really need to do something about it. Prayer is not enough. Prayer cannot solve it alone. Alone it cannot. To all my listeners, over to you. Leave your thoughts in the comment section. Don't forget to like, to share, and subscribe. Thank you for listening. See you some other time. Bye.